Let's get started. The topic for this week is being content with anything. And it's a quality of a devotee of God, a quality of a seeker of truth. And the quality in Sanskrit is Santuṣṭaḥ, Yenakenacit. Santuṣṭaḥ is being content, but are you able to be content with anything? And no doubt, we're content when good things happen to us. We're content when things go in line with our likes, go in line with our desires. But can we be content with anything that comes? Is it even possible? Something negative? How is it that one can have this approach in life? Is it conceivable? The power of this subject, the power of Vedanta, and why it is for those seeking the ultimate, the highest in life, is yes, no doubt Vedanta can help us remove some of our stress, some of our agitations. But Vedanta is meant for more than that. Vedanta is meant to give us an idea of what a human being is capable of, what life can be. And if we can conceive it, then it's possible that we can instill it, we can achieve it. And this is the idea. This is the power of these great concepts that we are learning. So let's examine it. What does it mean to be content with anything? And simply put, whatever result or whatever situation or condition or event that is presented with you in life, can you maintain your equanimity? Can you maintain your peace of mind? So we take a moment just to digest that. What result, what event in life would I lose my contentment? Would I be discontent? Would I be unhappy? Would I be agitated? Now, today is about how we can fix those areas and how we can prepare ourselves so that whatever happens outside, whatever happens in the world, whatever event, whatever condition, whatever result, Santuṣṭaḥ, content. The first one is, if you achieve self-realization, the ultimate, if you find the self within, every human being is made up of matter and spirit. Here in Ananda Spa, where we are spending the month, they talk about the doshas. So each person is made up of 3 different doshas, but all of that is based on elements. We are essentially made up of the 5 elements. And if you see the diagram, the material aspect of us are those elements. And we understand the body being made up of elements, but sometimes we don't always accept that the mind and intellect are also matter. They're made up of subtle elements. What are the elements? Space, air, fire, water, earth. But this is now subtle space, subtle fire, subtle water. And when they combine, you get the mind and intellect. But the spirit component is that which gives life to matter, which enlivens the instrument, the equipment, to perform its respective function. So it enlivens the body to perceive and act, the mind to feel, the intellect to think, conceive, reason. Matter by itself, no life. Spirit by itself has no expression. But when you bring the 2 together, you have this expression of life. You can identify with your body, your mind, your intellect, but all those are changing factors. The changeless factor in you. And therefore, your real identity is the spirit, the self, which unfortunately we do not know and even fewer pursue. But if one is able to move their identity from the body, mind, intellect, and go deeper, deeper into their personality and meet the core, the pure consciousness, the self, the spirit, the Godhood within, they find their real identity. They find abundance because they've reached their original nature. All agitation, all unhappiness, all discontentment, unfulfillment ceases. The word in Sanskrit is paripurna. Purna means to be full, full, full. Pari is, now this is beyond superlative. It means completely full, double superlative. Imagine you've just eaten a meal and you've stuffed yourself so much that even if you have just one pea, it'll come out of your ear. That's how full you are. But they are fulfilled with contentment, happiness, complete. Now, for such a person, they are Santuṣṭaḥ, Yenakenacit, which means they're content with anything. Why? Because they've reached the fountainhead of happiness. So they don't care what happens in the world. It could be something positive, it could be something negative. They're not affected by the world. They have reached the sun. Whilst you and me, we're looking for a little extra light here and there. They reach the source. So whereas we are looking for particular outcomes, for a little bit more pleasure, happiness, they bring happiness to the outcome. What a difference. So, if you want to be content with anything, here's the first option. Realize the self. Find enlightenment, find nirvana. So, very practical advice right up in the beginning. You want to be content with anything? Reach enlightenment. No problem. That is the ultimate solution. But we've got a few perspectives on how we can start practicing this quality of being content with anything. Relatively. Absolute, self-realization, enlightenment. Okay? Because if you have everything and your happiness is not dependent on any outcome, you are content with whatever happens, whatever you receive. No positive event can accentuate their joy. No negative event can take away from them. They are paripurna. But let's get to where we are at the moment. We're not yet enlightened. So, why are we not content with anything? And when I say that, what's the alternative? If you are not content with anything, what's the alternative? Feel free to unmute and answer.
Discontent, then unhappy.
If you think about that, just that simple answer. If you're not content, you're discontent, you're miserable, you're complaining. Is that a good choice? What other choice is there that makes sense but to be content? But then why do we make ourselves discontent? Why do we make ourselves feel insufficient, unhappy? And this is because the nature of the mind. Every human being is made up of BMI, body, mind, intellect. The mind has got all the desires, it's got the likes and dislikes. The intellect has the ability to change your perspective. So you can look at life through your already present lens of conditioning, bias, prejudice, likes and dislikes, emotions and feelings. Or you can take control of a situation, a scenario, and change the lens for your happiness. And it's a reframing. It's a reframing of your thought, a reframing of perspective to give you the choice that you want, happiness. And this is it. It's not the outcome that determines whether you are happy or unhappy. It is the way you look at the outcome. Now, if you look at the outcome of the mind, 50-50. If it's in line with your like, content. Not aligned with your like, discontent. But with your intellect, you can reframe it. And that's what we're going to go through today. The problem with the mind is that it is never content. Even if it gets what it wants, what is the problem there?
It wants more.
You want more. The mind nature is to want more. One of the wealthiest people in history, John D. Rockefeller, who at his time had about 4% of US's GDP as his personal wealth. And people asked him, how much money is enough money? And he replied, just a little bit more. And this is what happens with our mind. So imagine you could be the wealthiest person in history, in modern history, and yet the mind goes a little bit. So with all of that, you're not content. You think, what hope is there? But this is the idea. We've got to understand the mind's nature and compensate for it. Look at it differently. Because why choose misery? Especially when you have so much. Let's choose happiness. There was a family, they were living peacefully. And one troublemaker, he said to another passerby, do you realize how easy it would be to upset this family living very modestly in a hut? They dine together, they speak with each other. Do you know how easy it is to upset this family peace? And gentleman said, no, this family, they've got stuff. They won't get upset. And this troublemaker, he says, I'll show you. And what he does is, when the family left the hut in the morning to do their respective jobs, their work, he went and he put a pot of gold in the hut, filled with different coins, gold coins. And what do you think? Positive thing for the family? More happiness, more togetherness? What happened was the family came back and they were overjoyed and they were hugging each other. They were celebrating. This is a pot of gold. And they said, let's count it. And they started counting the gold pieces. 1, 2, 3, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99. And they looked around at each other. Where's the other gold coin? And suddenly there's suspicion in a family that was so together. They say, where is the other gold coin? Who took the gold coin? Firstly, they don't know how it came about. They don't know if it was supposed to be 100 coins. And the tragedy was, the family said, nobody touch the pot until we get 100 coins. So we are going to eat a little bit less. We are going to be very frugal. And next day, the fire was not there. No one was talking to each other. The mood had changed. Why? And this is called, Swami Ramatirtha calls it, the snares of 99. You get to 99 and the mind goes one more. And that obsession for the one more, that desire for one more, ruins your present contentment. You were happy with very little. You were happy with no gold. And what happens? You allow desire to take over. And then you have a desire for a particular outcome. And the desire for the outcome is what makes us discontent. And there's nothing wrong with desire. But if the desire is too strong and it doesn't get the outcome it wants, it seeks or sinks into misery. So therefore, what do we need to do? With our intellect, we need to manage this mind so that it does not sabotage our peace. How? Let's get into it. The mind, and see if you catch yourself doing this. The mind puts up a target and it says, if I get that particular goal, if I get that position, if I get that promotion, when I get that particular job, or when I get this particular person joining my team, then Sudhakar, I can relax, then I'll be happy. So many people, often we recommend the e-learning course. I said, get into your study, invest in yourself every day. And people say, definitely, Sudhakar. I really want to do it. And they mean it. They really mean it. They said, as soon as I retire, as soon as daughter gets married, as soon as I just get this particular deal concluded in work, or I'll start in January. If you meet my teacher, Swamiji, and you tell him, Swamiji, I really want to study, he'll say, study. It's so simple, right? Study. They said, yes, Swamiji, what do you recommend? He says, look, you need structured study. So you go deeper. You can transform yourself. Do the e-learning. Okay, Swamiji, great. Thank you. That's exactly what I was looking for. I'll start as soon as I get home. And he's like, when you get home? Yes, Swamiji. When I get back, I'll be home in about 10 days' time. I'll be back at home. I'll start e-learning. Start now. Why? Because when we postpone our happiness, when we postpone our growth, we take the mentality that when I get that, when I get there, if I get there, I'll be happy. Okay? Everybody can identify with this. We've had this thought in particular, right? So when I change jobs, right? We've had this thinking. What does it mean about how you are now? Yes, Geeta.
Not content. You're not content.
You're not
Because you
content.
still want more. Your desires.
You're not content. Great. It means you're not happy. You're not happy now. And we justify our stress. We justify our agitation. We justify sometimes neglecting our health, our sleep, our family, because we think that the goal will make it all worthwhile. Happiness will come with the goal. And suppose you don't get the goal, okay, prolonged unhappiness. Suppose you get the goal, what's going to happen?
Another goal.
Another goal.
It's so funny.
And we won't be so cynical, Michael. We'll say, like, okay, you're happy for a little while. Okay, I got the achievement. And you enjoy some pleasure for a little while. It doesn't give you the lasting happiness that you thought. It doesn't solve all your problems. And your mind just goes, thank you. Next. It wants something else. So your whole life is in perpetual expectation of happiness, and those few times that you actually get what you like, you enjoy it for short moments. And most of our life is just discontent. This model does not make sense, and yet we have bought into it. Maybe because society sells it so well. Society makes us feel like we're not complete unless we buy this. We're not complete unless we reach this. Perhaps this is how consumerism is fueled. But personally, let us think. This model does not make sense. What is the alternative model? And the alternative model is, if you cannot find contentment right now with what you have in the present, there is no guarantee you're going to be content with what you have in the future. Right? Because your mind will just pitch up something else. So the technique or the art is to learn how to be content in the present at every present moment going forward. Socrates, he says, he who is not contented with what he has would not be contented with what he would like to have. What do we take away? Let us learn to be content right now. And a financial way of looking at it in terms of material aspirations, wealth, is to understand what is true richness, what is poverty. And this equation puts it beautifully. You are rich, you are content, you are happy when your wealth is above your desires. Means what you have, what you earning, your income is more than what you desire. So you feel like you have abundance, you feel content, you feel you can even share, you can do charity. Now, it's not in the quantum of what you have, it's in how you feel about what you have. And that's the perspective that I was talking about, the reframing perspective. This person is truly rich. The other side of it is you could have a great quantum. You could be a billionaire, but you will be a poor person if your wealth is less than what you desire. Because you don't have enough to afford your desires. So you feel insufficient, you feel poor, you want to take from others, you want to squeeze others, just as the family did with the 99 gold coins. You want one more gold coin. You've got 99 coins. Be content. No, we want the 100. And that one more to get the 100 makes you poor. So let us be rich. And all we have to do here to be rich is to manage our desires with the intellect to be below our wealth. Now, the question that usually comes up here, and I'm not sure if it's in any of your minds, but to preempt it, does this make us complacent? What about desire to grow? What about ambition? What about to earn more? Nothing wrong with that. But do not allow the desire to become so strong that it hijacks your happiness. Be content first and then put in the effort to grow. In fact, you will grow faster from contentment because your mind is at peace. You can concentrate better. You can perform better, achieve more. Instead of being discontent, agitated, stressed, your health battling, body not cooperating, and your productivity is compromised. So let us be content with what we have and then aim for the stars. So what you'll do in this model is you'll be content right throughout life. And suppose your wealth increases, you can increase your desires, but never let it overtake your wealth. Another way of looking at contentment is the attitude of gratitude. And the psychology of this is, and how it manages the desire, is that your mind is always looking for more. The intellect turns the mind around and says, mind, you're always looking at what you don't have. Let's consciously look at what we do have to bring that fiery desire for more a little bit down, so we're not discontent. If you see this graph, each one of us is somewhere between 0 and 100. A person who is at the level 40, they look at somebody at 75 and they think, I don't have enough. Look at what this person has. We compare and make ourselves miserable. But comparison is relative. There's always going to be somebody who has more than you in a particular area of comparison, but there's also going to be somebody who has less than you. Now, what the intellect does in reframing it is look at those below you. Look at what you do have. And suddenly that discontent or that feeling of being insecure, not enough, unworthy, changes to being, I'm blessed. Wow, I have so much. I've got my health. My family is around me. The job is stable. Wow. And all it was looking at what you do have. The quote by the great Sadi, he says, I had no shoes and complained until I met a man who had no feet. But otherwise, the person with no shoes wants shoes. The person with shoes wants bicycle. Person with bicycle wants motorbike. Person with motorbike wants car. Person with car wants bigger car. Person with bigger car wants somebody to sit next to them. And so it goes on and on and on. And if you just look, there are some without shoes. There are some without feet. The mind just goes quiet. Okay. No more complaining. And this is what gratitude does. So when we look at what we do have, we become grateful. And the last aspect to manage it or manage the desire is by analyzing, what do you need to be content? Like in terms of food, do you really need so much variety? How much of clothes do you need? How many shirts? And when you start thinking along these lines, the mind starts cooperating. Otherwise, the mind always wants more. Oh, that's a beautiful shirt. Oh, it would look even better in my wardrobe. Not on me, in my wardrobe. Because if you have too much, you don't get a chance to use it. So if we examine with the intellect, what do I actually need? And you decide how many watches, how many shoes that I'll actually use, I will put into use, how many skis. And if we constantly start thinking like this, analyzing, you start standardizing your life. I need so many knives, forks, spoons in the kitchen. I need 2 cars. 1 car for myself, 1 car for the partner, and that car could also be used during the day for the kids. So you start analyzing what are your needs and ensuring that your needs are taken care of. And once that is taken care of, everything above that is just bonus. And this is called standardization. So if you've decided, look, 6 pairs of shoes, I've got 2 for athletics, I've got 1 for formal wear, 1 for casual, 1 for work. You do the analysis. Then even if you do like something, the mind really wants something, you know exactly where it will fit. Oh, will this be in workout Or will this be for the office? Or will this be for formal? And then what you can do is you can buy the pair of shoes, give one away. This is the beauty of standardization. You are able to quell the restless mind because you've standardized. You know what you need. And it's at your comfort level. It's at your affordability. So it's what do I need? What can I afford? Lao Tzu, he says, he who knows that enough is enough will always have enough. But how do you know enough is enough? We've not analyzed. I'm saying ask the question, what do you need for it to be enough? Put an objective standard to it. Actually, I'm quite comfortable with this. Great. Everything else, bonus. And see the difference in your peace of mind. Now, we're going to go a little deeper into being content with anything. One is from an intellectual perspective, in terms it's more analytical, and the other is from a more emotional, devotional perspective. Okay? The first aspect is, we've explained now, why would you be content with anything? Because you brought your desire for a particular outcome under control. Okay, so this makes you content. Now the second aspect, it's interesting because can anyone think of another way of why you would be content with anything?
Isn't it about lower your expectations?
Yes, lower your expectations. So that's great. That's a perspective. Yes, if you lower your expectations.
Raise the goal.
Raise the goal. That's very similar to our first point. If you've got a higher goal, the small things that happen in life don't upset you. And if you've got the highest goal or you've reached the highest, it doesn't touch you. So yes, great. Higher goal. I'll share with you these perspectives. And the perspectives are, the first one, an intellectual understands cause and effect. That whatever you experience is an effect. And that effect is because of all the past causes that have happened. And all those past causes together give you the resultant of what you experience now. This is, in short, the law of karma. It's karma, cause, effect. So an intellectual person understands that at any point in time, what I receive or whatever happens to me is because of something I deserve. And I don't know exactly how it tallies because I don't know all my past actions, nor do I know how all those past actions come together with their different forces and give me the present resultant. So I don't know exactly how it works because it's not one-to-one karma, but it's having an effect for sure. And whatever I get is because I've deserved it. And the principle that an intellectual understands is, as Swami Parthasarathi says, you get what you deserve, not what you desire. So we're changing that desiring a particular outcome to not worrying about that outcome, because you understand that whatever outcome comes, I've deserved it. And if it's negative, there's a bit of relief. Oh, I'm glad some past bad causes, some bad inputs that I did in the past have been wiped out. If something positive comes in, it's an affirmation. Okay, I'm on the right track. Great, keep going. I'm doing the right thing. I'm on the right track. Keep going. And then some negative comes. Yes, I must have deserved this. All right, fine. Keep moving, keep moving. And what happens is your focus starts becoming on your present action about deserving rather than desiring. So you stop worrying about what the outcome should be. And you start worrying about what's in your control, which is your present action, the deserving part. That is powerful. So you've changed it from being result oriented, from being outcome oriented to action process oriented. If I put in the right action to deserve, I will get what I deserve. I can do what's in my control. I can't do what's out of my control. Now, you don't know all the past causes. You don't know all the other contributory causes. But what you do know is your present action. So a person with this kind of wisdom or intellectual aspect doesn't worry about the outcome. Gets on to doing what needs to be done. Focused on their present action. To strive, to struggle, not to succeed should be the motto in your life. To just work, and there'll be obstacles, overcome the obstacles. Not to succeed means don't connect your happiness to the outcome. Don't be fixated on the success. Success will come. Why? Because you deserve it. And if you
Can I ask you?
sure.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but is it like if I feel something that I am not successful, I can talk to myself like, I deserve this. It's okay, keep moving, right?
Yes.
It's about that understanding of that law.
Yes. But it's also a way to see what needs to be refined, what needs to be changed in my present action. So you take it as feedback, you use it and make your action better. What factors were missing? Some factors may be out of your control. Maybe the company changed management, there's been a transition. You take care of what's in your purview. There's a simple saying: if something is out of your control, there's nothing you can do about it. Why worry? If something is in your control, go do something about it. Why worry? And this is the whole idea. It's I will maintain my contentment. And if I don't get what I want, if I can do something about it, I'll do. If I can't do anything about it, I'll accept. The Bhagavad Gita says, your right, your prerogative is in action alone. Never chew the fruits, never chew the results. Don't worry about the results, because that's not entirely up to you. That's your past, that's other factors involved. You worry about your action alone. And the other aspect on how we can be content with anything, and you kind of said it, Johan, is prepare for everything. If you prepare for every outcome, when the outcome comes, you're okay. You've thought about it. You've got backup, you've got insurance, you're good, but you've prepared for it. So, one useful tool or line to take with us in life is prepare for the worst and then work for the best. And if you've done this, you called it lowering expectations. It means that you are prepared for any outcome that might come. So when the outcome does come, it doesn't disturb your contentment because you've got a plan, you've got a contingency. Keep working for the best. That's gospel. And it doesn't make you pessimistic. Pessimistic is if you stay on the negative. Here, we're talking about being a philosopher, a realist, where you look at what could potentially go wrong. Yes, you cover it, prepare for it, you defend for it, and then you work for the best. There is potential that you may not have considered everything, and still, despite your best efforts, something that you haven't considered comes up. Can anyone think of an example?
Preparing for a wedding and someone changes their mind at the altar.
That is something we can prepare for because it happens. It'd be interesting to get the stats on that, but there's some probability for that happening. Prasanna put death. Death, we should definitely prepare for because that is certain. So that's a very good probability. The one that we should look at, I mean, that many did not see coming. Weather, Umesh, so weather, yes, we can prepare for in general because we know the climate. So we can prepare for it in general. Something, and we've got weather forecasting. So we can prepare for the weather to a great extent, unless it's something freak. Even there, so there's a room for that freak. And the thing that happened recently that we all went through was COVID. I don't know if anyone here can say that they prepared for COVID. They knew that something like this could happen. I mean, that's incredible forecasting. But I'm saying, okay, you try your best to prepare for everything. What can we do if something unknown comes up that we were not prepared for? Keep a buffer. So prepare for as much as you can. Keep a little bit of room for that uncertainty, that X factor or that event that happens that nobody saw coming. Keep a little bit of room for that. So you've got a little bit of shock absorption. And you can bear the outcome, you can bear that incident without losing your peace of mind, without losing your contentment. Now, the devotional approach to this is a devotional person sees that everything that happens is meant to happen because it's taking you closer to God. It's taking you towards your growth. And there is a force, there is a type of gravitational force pulling you back towards your original nature, to self-realization. There is. Or some people call it God's plan, divinity. Whatever way you look at it, it's a type, and we say it's devotional because it's more faith-based. And the idea is, and you might say, it doesn't appeal to my logic. That's fine. Go with the intellectual approach. But if you appreciate the devotional approach, it is saying everything is by the grace of God. And in India, they call it prasad. And prasad is usually food they give after a prayer. But they also call whatever happens to you prasad. It means it's a gift from God. It's a blessing. So just as when you pray for a meal and then you distribute the meal, it's as if God's blessed it. Same thing, if you're a devotional person, whatever happens to you in life, God sent. I needed this. And if you have that kind of reframing in mind, the way you see it will be, there must be a lesson in this. This must be for my growth. All by the grace of God. But if you think about it, that person is content. That person is open. That person is growing. Why not adopt this attitude? It is the attitude of surrender. And I think what we try to do is we try to control outcomes. And when you try and control outcomes, and we do this with desire, that's when our contentment goes. Because you can't control everything. It's not possible. We don't have enough knowledge of how everything works, nor is everything within our power. So the surrender is to whoever is connecting the debits and credits of life, the causes to the effects, whoever's connecting that, whatever force, whatever entity, whatever providence, to that, I surrender. I let go. And it's a fine line. Surrender does not mean being lazy. Surrender is putting in the action that needs to be done and letting go of the result. So it's full effort, 100% effort, and letting go of the outcome. And when you do this, there's a good chance, greater probability, because you don't have the interference of desire, you don't have the interference of agitation. You actually get what you want. But you've got to surrender, let go. Such a powerful emotion, but so difficult to do, because the ego wants to control, and the ego thinks it can dictate what should happen in life. And that humility to do your part and keep quiet and not dictate to providence, to divinity, to God, is surrender. In the play Hamlet by William Shakespeare, he says, there's a divinity that shapes our ends. Rough hew them how we will. I mean, we can roughly create the shape, but it's divinity that does the refining, does the shaping. We can do our part, but divinity is there. There's a story of a person who was praying and praying, and he was looking for some divine intervention. And he would say, like any of you, I surrendered. I fully surrendered. I told God, I want to win the lottery. The lottery? Yes. So I'm praying and praying to win the lottery. But I don't want to use the money for myself. I want to use the money to help people in need. So this is a saintly thing. I am praying for the well-being of others, and I'm surrendering, so I should win the lottery. And he prayed and prayed and prayed, and nothing was happening. And after a good few years, he gave up his faith. And he said, there is no God. Nobody has prayed as hard as I have. I have not won the lottery. God does not exist. And same time, God appears. And the man starts cursing. Oh, now you come. So I have been praying for many years so sincerely. You've not allowed me to win once the lottery. And he's cursing God. He's left, right, center. No one was a better disciple than me. God patiently listening. And God tries to intercept. He says, hey, look, I wanted to help you. God says, the man is saying, how? What? You didn't do anything. So God, no, I would have seen what I could do. And the man said, then God said, I was waiting for you to buy a lottery ticket. How can you win the lottery if you don't buy a lottery ticket? There has to be the requisite effort before you surrender. It's like a student going and praying for good results in exams. Oh God, please give me good results in exams, and not studying. The best approach would be you study for exams, and then you go and do your best and leave the rest. This is surrender. And whatever result you get, you've put in your effort. I got what I deserve. There is a contentment. There's a peace. Now we've got to analyze, which one are we? Or which one appeals to us? Is it about reaching self-realization, the higher goal? By all means, yes. Pitch that higher goal, reach self-realization, the highest goal, and that will immune you from being discontent from any results that happen in the world. The other is we manage our desires. So we don't have too strong a desire for a particular outcome. And we spoke about being content in the present with what we have. We spoke about standardizing our needs so the mind doesn't aggravate us by being discontent for what it desires. We also spoke about gratitude, looking at what we do have. Then we went on to a more intellectual approach that if we prepare for anything, then we can be content with whatever happens. We can also intellectually understand that whatever happens, I've deserved. So therefore, I can be at peace with that. And I just keep on working and putting in my best effort, and I'll get what I deserve. So it makes that desire for outcome less. A devotional approach, you see every outcome as a blessing, as a gift from God, even something negative. This is a lesson. This is something I need to learn. Yes, I've got to learn how to detach from this. Okay. So we see everything positively there. So the conclusion is, if we want to be content with anything, it means to be content with anything, that person needs to be prepared for everything, accepts everything, ultimately has everything, or not dependent on anything. Now find out which angle inspires you. Maybe work on all of them. And let us not place our happiness on any outcome. That's our quality for the week. We take up questions.
Well, can I ask a question?
Sure.
You said that there are a set of people who, whatever comes their way, they feel, okay, this is what I deserve, and that's why God has given it to me, and you're supposed to be content with it or happy with it and accept it gracefully. Now, sometimes there are extremely unfortunate incidences which happen in life, like let's say people have lost a child, or there's been like an accident where 6 people in the family have gone. How do you tell yourself at that point that okay, this is for the best?
Mm-hmm. So there, Divya, I would say lack of preparation. So for that person, why we suffer so much when there is an accident or a calamity is because we never prepare or think that anything can happen to our family. And that idea is that anything, any moment can happen to anyone, anytime. This is reality. But we have the desire that we will live till 80, 90. We will see our grandchildren. So we've got all these ideas, we've got all these expectations in mind that are really not based on reality. But if we prepare for it, yes, today I may not see you tomorrow. And if you are prepared for that, you live differently. So one, you don't take anything for granted. You enjoy the time you have with each person, the people who are important to you right now, right then, power of the present moment. But also, you work for the best. That perhaps we do live till 80, 85, have grandkids, etc. You work for the best, but you've got to be prepared for this. Otherwise, if it does happen, or some eventuality happens, we collapse. So I would say most human beings, when there is a calamity like death in the family, it's because they've not even considered that that person could die. It's a complete lack of preparation because the mind wants only life and not death. This is not reality. This is delusion, illusion. But the second part is, for a devotional person, they will see that even that family passing like that, they will see that God's way. They are ready for the next evolution of life. So I don't want to hold them back. I wish them well in their journey. So even that depends on the quality of devotion. But you see, that's where it's tested. Your devotion gets tested at the level of your desire and attachment. So that's why we need a combination of these to really prepare us for anything in life. Okay,
Thank you.
next question.
Thank you.
Okay, Deepak, can the law of karma stand on its merit, I guess, without the premise of reincarnation? Continuity of causes to explain certain effects. So Deepak's asking, can the law of karma stand on its own merit without bringing in the concept of the theory of reincarnation? Yes, it can, up to a point, because we definitely see cause and effect all the time. All of science is based on cause and effect. So you plant a mango seed, you get a mango tree. You plant coconut seed, you get a coconut tree. Cause and effect. You live a particular lifestyle where you're exercising, you're eating correctly, you're healthy, you're fit. If you don't eat well, if you don't exercise, you're unhealthy. So we see cause and effect. If you are selfish, you are insecure. If you are unselfish, you are secure. So there is definite cause and effect happening everywhere. Now, where does theory of reincarnation come in? Theory of reincarnation comes in that we can see distinct personalities, distinct talents from the newborn. We've got a prodigy at 2 years old, some 3-year-old playing the piano. It's like, how do they know this? How do they recognize tunes? And what an intellectual will do is that we project that talent, that particular nature must have come from the past. Now, what past could there be? We don't know. We don't know for sure. So nobody can tell you for sure reincarnation exists. Why? Because we don't remember our past lives. But nobody can tell you for sure that it does not exist. So if it appeals to you intellectually, where does our newborn vasanas, nature come from? How can it come suddenly like that? But also, when we die, where do all those desires, that potential energy, all those vasanas, all those talents, where does that go? Where does that subtle energy go? We just have question marks. So yes, it can stand alone without theory of reincarnation. Theory of reincarnation is a projection.
No, so there are two aspects where it battles. One is nature and talent and everything that we talked about can be explained with the past reincarnation. How about the situation and circumstances that we are born in? And that also then has to go back to something previous. So that is where the confusion comes in. And also in the statement when we say we get what we deserve. Because there are times when you feel that what you've done, you should have got it, but then there is a slip between the cup and the lip. The shuttlecock stays on the net for a little while and falls on the opposite side. Those kind of things, etc. So that being something which was really not under your control. So how does one reconcile some of these?
I find it more reassuring. It's like, why this random allotment of some being born well off, some being born unfortunate? And the idea of that it's from the past, it sits better than just randomness. So if you have been negative, if you have taken from others, there must be an effect for that, cause and effect, repercussions. That explains your current environment, your current birth. Just as, even in this lifetime, based on your desires and based on what you do, you get a type of environment from those actions. So you might be in a peaceful environment surrounded by people that love you because of your particular actions, because of the way you've managed your finances. You're in a particular way. So we see it in this lifetime, and we only project that if this is the present when you're born into, what must the past have been? And why, despite our best efforts, sometimes go awry is we can't be sure of all the causes. Suppose we knew all the past causes and we were able to put them together, then we could say for certainty, this karma doesn't work because I added up all the causes, the effect is not there. But we don't know all the causes. That's the part. So the projection of it is cause and effect is working. It must work. There should not be an exception to the rule. We just don't have all the information. What we can do in certain aspects, where it's a limited bubble, as it were, we could examine the particular causes. But again, you take away some of the context. Okay. We'll take up any other questions? Okay. We have a few announcements before we end the class. And the first is next week will be our last Sunday wisdom session for the year. We'll be taking up the quality of aniketa, which means to be homeless. So you might say, oh, that's a good quality to miss out on. I don't want to be homeless. It has a deeper meaning than what it indicates. It's a beautiful quality. So we'll get into it next week. And the week after that, so it won't be a Sunday wisdom session. It will be a lecture for the youth. So sharing a few positive insights to really live the best life. And I'm sure all of you can imagine that what if we had these skills when we were much younger? How much of trial and error, how much of stress we could have avoided. So the topic is Go for Gold, and it's at the same time, 7 to 8 p.m. And you're welcome to share it. And although, it might be optimistic to call everyone here youth, you are welcome to join. But the main idea is let's share it with youngsters. So teenagers, people in their 20s, people could really use these skills to start building their life. And for you and me, a little bit on the older side, it could be used for some reaffirmation. And then some events happening at the Academy in December. We have the youth camp, again for teenagers. It is from the 18th to the 22nd. So for those of you who have nieces, nephews, kids, grandkids, what an experience. We have about 50 kids already who are coming for the event, and the more the merrier. In January, we have the adult retreat. So it's called the Vedanta Academy Experience. So for those of you who would like to hear the master, the teacher, Swami Parthasarathy himself, he no longer speaks live, but we've got some incredible archived recordings of his from the 80s, from the 90s, where he was full of fire. And I think you might appreciate those. And those are followed up with a few live sessions and group discussions. So that is mid-Jan, 12th to the 17th. And in February, we have our signature annual retreat. It's called the Vedanta International Retreat. Here, all the sessions are live, where you get an opportunity to study a portion of a scriptural text, but also practical topics. and interact, discuss, small group discussion, big group discussion with people from around the world. Quite a few of you I know are coming for the event. So see which one suits you and see how best to complement your study and learning. Thank you everybody for joining us. See you next week. Hari Om.